Welcome to the Mind is Psychic, where we talk music, addiction, comedy, culture. If you like this content, please leave feedback and subscribe. Let's get into it. Affirmations in the morning or when you go to bed in the evening or people work nights, so, vice versa. Or being as happy as you can. All of these years, I wanted to be wealthy. I wanted, the Porsche. I wanted the mansion. But deep down, that's all insignificant air. Yeah, that would be nice to have, pool in the backyard, a nice house. But really, what's important is the good people in your life. What's important is that you're happy. What's important is that you're healthy, because if you're not healthy, you're not living the best life. Sometimes the health is your fault, and in a lot of times, it's not. And whether you believe in a higher power or whatever, I'm a true believer of things happen for a reason. Even if they're unfair, situations happen for a reason. But the toxicity, you may not even realize. I would say 8 out of 10 times, you don't even realize it. You don't mean to be mean, and you don't mean to put that energy on people. It's how people are affected and how they internalize it or externalize it. And you know what? Even getting a third party involved. If we're talking about friendships like that, I'm not in a really, I don't have a significant other, so I can't really talk about being married and that kind of stuff. So I'm not even going to touch on that. Even with kids, I'm not going to touch on any of that. I'm just talking about what I've lived and different ways of doing things there's issues. Okay. Tell it straight up. Don't be mean about it though. You see, odds are 9 out of 10 times when you talk to this person, I would say, especially if they're close to you, if they're in your orbit, you already know what you did, but they have the strength to come to you because they care that much about you. They're not doing it for ill will. They're not doing it to hurt you. Make a plan, even if you're going in before that. If it's family, for instance, like I said, the whole time thing, how you perceive things is not necessarily how things should have been perceived or how the person that's communicating meant to be received. We're not in that person's brain. We're in our own brain. They're not in our brain, right? Feel it. But also with the toxicity, are you building that to the toxicity of the other person? And what I mean by that is, are you adding, and I'm not talking about these keyboard warriors, these trolls, these buttheads. I'm talking about people close to you. Do you consider maybe you did something wrong and they're acting a certain way to you? And they feel that way. 100%. That's why they're coming to you, or they're not. They feel a certain way on your action, how you acted towards them. What about if you catch on afterwards and you were like, oh shoot, then you can be proactive, right? It's a lot easier being sober now. Odds are, a lot of times, especially if they're close people, it went over their head. They were annoyed for like 2 seconds, then they moved on with their life because they're adults and they have real lives, they have families, and they just, okay, homeboy's having a bad day, whatever. It's when it consistently grows and it happens more frequently that you're like, okay, bro, or hey, dude, we got to have this talk, man. Are you all right? What's going on? And I know after 20 times of doing that, helping them out, that maybe they're just not meant to be intertwined in your life, into your spirit, if you believe in that sort of thing. Just be happy and explain. And it is all right, even if it's 2 guys, man. Even if it's 2 dudes and they do something really freaking stupid, go up to them. Dude, homie, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way what you said last night about whatever the example is, whatever, that was fucked up. What's going on? Because clearly you wouldn't have acted that way towards me if you were straight in the head, You just come off like, what's going on? Talk to them. Maybe they just had a shitty fucking day. Maybe they just got bad news. Maybe they're scared and they were lashing out, hoping that you would talk to them, hoping you would confront them so they could talk because they were so scared that they didn't know how to bring it up. Just think about it. If you're truly feeling yourself in a clear-minded way, you're just honest. key word there is honest, or not being toxic. Being honest it's freeing, man. It is so cool not lying. Like when you would go hang out with friends, you were that dude that in the group that they were like, man, this dude is just off, man. Like, do we really have to hang out with them? And then they start to back away. It's not them that are the issue. It's you that is the issue. You need to be straight up. If you did something to me, it's not on me. It's on you, homie. You say something shitty, okay, we're going to back off. You know, we're having fun and you're ruining that fun. Most of the time, I would say they're forgiving and they understand. And the person that's acting that way doesn't understand, and they're not in that moment, and they're not connecting the dots. But then at that point, you're being toxic to them. You're being toxic to them. You're now feeling the opposite, right? You're feeling that, whoa, I can't believe I did that. Like, I mean, man, this is just not, there's just something, that's just not, why? Why is he acting like that? Oh, that's why. And then the light bulb goes off in you, and you're like, that's why they were acting that way. That's why they were feeling, that's why they were detaching from always hanging out with you. Because you weren't fun to be around, hang out with. You were always either too paranoid or always afraid of living life. You were so involved in negativity that you never you never lived. You never lived and had that heartfelt, fun time that you could have. But that's what's dope, is that you learn. You can turn that toxicity, that negativity, after years and years of learning, wanting to grow, educating yourself, you can learn. And if the people give a shit and really care about you, those are going to be the ones that'll be your diehards. You can be 1,500 miles away. You could be 10,000 miles away. You may not even talk on a normal basis. You could just be throwing out texts on their birthdays, on holidays, or just say, hey, how you doing? It can just be one line of, hey, how's your family? They're thinking about you and you're thinking about them. Now, as a single dude, I have way more free time. Friends with families with children, my friends with families with homes, with careers and all of that. Not saying that making money, having a job, having a career, whatever. Not saying that I don't have that. I struggle definitely with that. But what I'm saying is our lives are different. They chose to live their life in a different way. They were able to, it clicked earlier for them, or they were able to, so to speak, man up before you and grow their life and figured it out, or they had help. They had better help maybe, and they were blessed with being able to figure it out quicker. What I mean is I have more time possibly than my ride or dies because simply I chose a different path, and that either or, it's fine. Deep down, subconsciously, I think it would be dope now to have that. But I'm not throwing people into my bullshit because I know my bullshit. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to put anybody in a bullshit relationship and deal with my shit until I get my shit straight, I mean, in my way, that I'm trying to prevent that hurt from somebody else for dealing with me until I can fix myself, right? Now, I might be way off bounds with that. There are very nurturing people out there that don't have an issue. I'm not saying fixing you or repairing you, but assisting you in becoming a better person, taking that toxicity out of your behavior, out of your words, out of your emotional state. They can assist you, and they care about you that much that they will do it time and time again. Now, I'm not talking about they're going to bail you out of jail every 10 seconds. Anybody that does that, now, I'm sure it's a different story if you're doing it for your child or whatever. I don't know any of that. I've never had that experience. I've had close, we've all had close people that we figure out we're like, these are our ride or dies. And then these were just people that you had almost like, let me give the example of when you're so in a different mental state and you're at the bar and you go to a bar or whatever on a regular basis. Let's just say you go to it so much that it's like work hours. I mean, I'm talking open to close 4 or 5 days a week, maybe even 7 sometimes. Maybe you're doing overtime, right? But you gain relationships there, and they're basically what they are. You think they're your friends, which not saying they don't care for you after years of, hanging out, talking to them, but you're always inebriated or you're always in a different mindset, right? That once you get sober, you figure it out. Once you stop, you just go in there. You notice it's just a different vibe from drinking there to going there to one of my things I wanted to do when I got sober was give it a year of sobriety. I think I gave it 6 months because it was really important to me that I was able to live life, meaning I needed to go back to the place, that bar, not to drink. They had bomb food, by the way. I mean, their food was off the chain. Always off the chain. And I was going in there as a recovering alcoholic, hanging out. I remember hanging out, being wild with all these guys, right? And all these ladies. They're still doing that shit, right? So now it's entertainment for you. I'm not making fun or blasting out anybody because I was that same acting a fool type dude, not thinking I was badass in that moment, right? When I was drinking, but now I'm coming in from like I'm almost out of body and I see these people like, oh shit, this is comical. Like this is what all the bartenders, now I get it. This is fucking insane. Like this is kind of fun. I always do a virgin michelada or a Bloody Mary. So basically it's tomato juice, spicy tomato juice, but I'm able to do that. And I was able to do it from day one. That's on that 180 day, I was able to go because I wanted it that bad because it's life, right? You're going to go out with friends or you're going to hang out. You're an adult, whether it's doing a business meeting or, going out with your friends, even to a restaurant, there's going to be alcohol. There's going to be a bar. You can't prevent that. And you cannot stop living your life and having good friendships and gaining those memories just by not going. So you gotta, once you get strong enough, and if you're willing to do that, it's fun. And then you get to the point where it's just like, I'm just gonna chill at home. I don't need all that stuff. It's a waste. Drinking is a waste of money. And that's how I feel at this time. It was my only outlet for years, I didn't want to be in my right mindset because I was toxic to myself. I wanted the toxicity. I craved it. Subconsciously, it was the only way I could live until I was able to figure it out for myself and disengage from the disingenuous, from the so-called bar friends, from the fake reality of a fake life. And I was able, after so much trial and error and so much of just crap, that you gotta be truthful to your ride or dies. You got to thank them. You got to support them in their need. When they need it, you have to be able to realize the effect in that way that you had on them at that moment. And then once you do, eventually you feel like the biggest piece of shit. I'll tell you a story in a couple of episodes, and that was probably my most embarrassing. And the guys know that I listen to it. They know who they are and they know the situation. But I'm just going to say that as irritated as I'm sure they were, they still cared. They were worried about me because I was off my fucking gourd, dude. I was off like, I was just a fucking idiot. I was just an idiot. I was spending money like there was nothing. I thought I was fucking king shit. I was perceiving somebody that I thought I wanted to be. I would go and spend $160 on a fucking meal by myself at a an upscale restaurant at the bar because I thought I was dope. Now, I went there for the food because it was bomb. Ordering a bone-in ribeye or a roast. Okay, that shit's good. Tomahawks are like $125. And then you add, you think you're all dope. You're going there and now I'm just ranting because I want to and I can. You're going there, you're there, right? You're just chilling and you're in this nice affluent area. You go on like a Saturday. And like you get there about 4 or 5. On Facebook, you're putting, you do your, location settings and you pull up the restaurant because you think you're all badass and you think that you've got the money and shit. And you portray this character that you're not because you're so messed in the head because of the addiction, because your brain is just so out there and you're not realizing it. You're not realizing that spending $3,000 a month at bars is not financially smart. Having title loans when you're in that state and spending 95% interest. Yeah, they don't tell you that shit. I don't care what they say. That shit, you don't see the end. You just keep on paying and paying and paying until hopefully you can get a large sum of money, or you just say, fuck it, and they can repossess the car. Sometimes it's worth it. Anyhow, but what I'm saying is you're so into that mindset, you're not seeing the other avenues. And God forbid there's children around you. It's the regret, yes. But the people that stick with you love you. They may not even say it. They don't have to say it. The shit you put them through and they're still with you, bro, you can't ask for somebody better. That's not worth $10 million. That's not even worth me going to be able to go into the studio with Dre, or me to meet Warren Buffett, my business idol, who I've wanted to meet for my entire life because he's a fucking genius at investing. What kind of 16-year-old wants to meet Warren Buffett? Well, I'm sure now, I'm sure a lot of people actually. But what I'm saying is that once you get straight and you leave that toxicity out, it's freeing. It's freeing to the point, it's like somebody took their hand. It's like a weight being lifted off your chest and throat because it was keeping you down for so long. Subconsciously, you didn't want to be there. That's why you were doing it in the first place. That's why you were doing drugs. That's why you were drinking. That's why you were eating. You were gorging out. You don't want to deep down. You want to take care. You want to be the best person inside and out that you can be towards others. But if you're not that way towards yourself first, nobody else counts. Nobody else matters at that point. You might as well be alone. And some people just say, fuck it and give up, trying to help this person, which I 100% agree. When I was going through my shit, when I was in the hospital, when I was in that level 1, I didn't want I had one person show up who I will always be grateful. I'm not naming names, but she knows who she is. And I will always be internally grateful for all that her and her family did for over the years for me. And all the things that she was cool about and helped me out with. Another person that was very blunt, but I needed it. Anyway, I didn't want anybody to be a part of my shit. I didn't want visitors. I didn't want anybody. I didn't even want my family to know I was in there because I was so embarrassed. I was spending money like it was fucking water, yo. Like I had no intention I had no idea how hurt I was, or subconsciously I must have, right? I must have known subconsciously, but to be realistic, I was literally killing myself. And at some points I just didn't want to be on the earth anymore. And so many people feel this, but these negative toxic traits, they go on and on and on and it's like a snowball effect. They just keep on getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're telling yourself while you're going through that, tomorrow will be different. Or I'll start in 2 weeks, or I'll start in a month, or, oh, okay, I got a couple of grand in the bank. I don't need to work. What would that do for me? I can just chill in a dark room watching TV and watching Netflix for a month straight, not taking a shower and just laying in bed in my own filth, snacking, or not eating for weeks at a time and maybe drinking 3 ounces of water every day for a month straight. Because, that's totally fucking normal, right? Depression, anxiety, mental illness. Nobody wants it, yo. Nobody fucking wants that shit. But what they do want, they want to be free from that hurt. They don't want that. They don't want their people to hurt. They don't want they're just so ashamed in their soul. They're just so ashamed in their own reality that they bounce into another delusional melancholy because they don't like their life and they don't know what they're feeling and how they should feel. They don't know what happiness is. There's so many people out there like me that you have to give credit to credit where credit's due. If it wasn't for some people, I'd be dead because I wanted that. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't give a flying fuck. But it was dope. People didn't give up on me. But most importantly, people are forgiving. But you have to forgive yourself. You have to get your shit straight first before any of that can even start. If you're not helping yourself and figuring out the true meaning of your life, who you are, you're never going to fix it. And every single day, it's an uphill battle. So what I mean by that is life's not supposed to be easy. And I do want to mention one thing. I think this maybe be a two-parter. I'm not sure. I've never had I'm going to see how much I can take from this, but this may be a two-parter anyways, because these are just thoughts that I have and I think I need to get them out. My mom always said, I'm trying to think of the quote. So you know how, it was basically, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything. So like most of her life was pretty shitty. Some of it her fault, some of it others. She did the best she could, whatever. Love the woman to death. Always will rest in paradise. But she would always say, if I have nothing nice to say, I'm not going to say it. Like, hey, how's your day? And you're really shitty. She's not going to tell you if it's shitty, Why waste the breath? And it didn't take me until I didn't really realize that. And she sheltered me from a shit ton of stuff. And that was, I believe, was her mechanism because she didn't want me to grow up in that way. Like I said, she will always be the homie. She will always be my number one. That mom and son love, nothing feels better than that. But I will say, if there's one regret, it was that she didn't see me sober and getting my life together in life. Because I honestly think, because I'm proud of myself. Money be gone, fuck all that shit. Dude, I'm 5.5 years sober through fucking COVID. A friend of mine pointed that out. And we would hang out 3, maybe 5 times, 2 to 5 times a week. Like we were close. And I got my shit together. Then I stopped hanging out as much because we would, he was able to have 2 beers and that was it. Me, I could have 2 gallons and I still didn't get enough. And he was concerned. He also knew I was an adult and he wasn't going to baby me. He had my back. If I needed something, he was always there. But I remember him and a buddy took me. So for it was my birthday. It was March of 2022. And it was my birthday / graduation present. They took me to like this really nice Brazilian restaurant because my friend, he's been with me ups and downs all the way for like, at that point, 6 or 7 years. So he saw me just job after job. He saw me just not on meds. I mean, but he always had my back. That's what I'm talking about. I've been very blessed with, that's why I keep a small circle, I think. So anyways, let me get back to it. We were talking and we were talking and he was like, I'm very proud of you. He was like, so this is 3 years into COVID. We're just now able to go to restaurants without no, I think this was like that the tail end of the masking where you didn't have to actually to eat. You didn't actually have to take it off and then chew, then put it back up to your mouth. We could actually just like not have a mask on, right? At the table. So it was at the tail end anyways. And I just remember him, he was saying, he's like, dude, at that point I was sober. I'm sorry, this was 2022, March of 22. Sorry. Can't believe it's 3 years, 37 months since I graduated. Anyways, he's like, you've been able to stay sober through the entire duration from 19 to even to that point to 3 years after that. Like I'm going, September 15th will be my 6th year. So why I'm saying this is it can be done. And I also think that going through that time period and the shit we all went through, the psychological fucking shit we went through, all of us, it didn't matter. I was so focused on staying sober and working on myself and trying to get better, knowing this was my last chance. I ultimately decided that this would be my last stance. On September 15th, 2019, I knew I'm done. Not saying that there might be nothing's forever written in stone. Something catastrophic should happen. I'm knocking on wood. Hopefully it never does. But I never thought of it as, I know I am. And I've always been selfish to the point of, I'm caring. I love to give gifts and stuff. But another thing is I've never been so damn determined and proud of being sober, getting straight, and being able to put my voice out there and just tell people like, dude, it can be done. I was able to, after the umpteenth time of trying to get sober, I got sober. I got right with school and I finished my MBA and graduated. I spent 10 years going to school after school, re-going to school because I got pissed at a professor or something. So I would drop out, going to a new school, do all of that. So we're not even talking about my student loan debt. And why did I go back? Kept on going back. I wanted to prove, I didn't want to prove it to anybody else but myself. I was able to do it, damn it. Now somebody might say that's a $200,000 plus mistake. Maybe, because I'm now doing addiction and I'm in the addiction space and behavioral space, mental health field. So I'm really not using my degree. However, I was able to accomplish things. And I did it at the height of some of the craziest shit that this planet has ever faced. I'm not trying to, give kudos to myself because I say it was the people that helped me that did more for me than myself. And I will always say that because I didn't see in myself that I could do it. And I'm not trying to brag, but that was the thing that I was able to do. I was proud. Those are the two things I'm most proud of in my life. As someone that doesn't have that's not in a committed relationship or have children, that is the two most important things in my life. And where once it clicks, it clicks. But I knew I needed to get this done. I needed to do it for myself and just worry about staying sober and graduating. I did it. And I'm not saying that I'm giving back or anything like that because I'm in this field. It helped me. This sounds corny. It helped me so much. I wanted to help others. And I know how freaking corny, giving back to your community, say what you want, but when you see what you can come out of, and to be perfectly honest, I'm not saying that alcohol isn't horrible. It is it's legal. That's the only thing about it is it's legal. And I was never, and because of my parents and their drug addiction with meth, cocaine, and all of that shit, I never wanted to do that because it scared the living shit out of me the seeing the long haul of it, of what it does to somebody. Message. One of my things is it's weird. I love teeth, meaning I love to have a clean mouth, and I've never wanted, because of that situation and my parents growing up, they got meth mouth. They lose teeth, their gums turn to shit. So I never wanted that. So that was partially why I didn't partake in that. And plus the people that I was hanging around with, maybe on occasion they would smoke weed. Maybe. I don't remember. See, I was like so paranoid in my own teens that I'm sure they respect, I think, to be perfectly honest, not saying that they would prevent me from ever partaking, but when I was around, they never did it. So I'm not saying when I wasn't around that they didn't partake. Anyhow, but I never wanted that the teeth, because to me, the smile and all of that is it's very important to me. I should have got braces when my mom offered when I was 16, 17, 18, and then I got cut off from insurance, and she had bomb ass Chevron insurance. So just saying that I could have had those Tom Cruise implants, basically. Kidding just a little kidding. However, I've always I have to brush 3 times a day, floss every time after I eat. That's a pet peeve of mine. And that because as non-sugarcoating, you do drugs for so long, not only does it fuck up your body, your internal organs, but it fucks up your gums, your mouth, your throat, all of that. And I never wanted that part of it. I smoked. I thought I was cool because of course my friends, some of them smoked. And I was the first one. So my friend smoked and I'm like, hey, give me one. They're like, dude, you're gonna hate it, dude. Like it's addictive. You're gonna hate it. Well, they're like, you know what? Fuck it, here. And I start puffing on it, the cigarette. It was Marlboro Reds, 100s. We were out in his backyard by the pool. And of course I wanted to be cool. You know, at that point, anybody that smoked was freaking cool. You're right. You're teenagers and oh my God, they have cigarettes. They're freaking cool. So I asked for a cigarette and I got the cigarette and I started puffing it. And then I'm not coughing, right? And the dude because this is how ignorant I am about smoking at this point. One of my buddies was like, are you inhaling? I'm like, what do you mean inhale? Because I thought it was like a cigar, because I kind of knew what a cigar was from all the rap videos and them just basically puffing on it and letting it, not really breathing it in so much. So I never did. And so when I was smoking, they were like, dude, you need to inhale to actually get the nicotine. Dude, the first fucking drag I inhaled, I was coughing my virgin ass lungs out for like 35 minutes, swear to God. I couldn't believe it. I fucking could not believe it. I'm like, oh, fuck this. After that first, I was done. I was like, But then when I would drink, I'd start doing not cigarettes, but like White Owls and Swisher Sweets and cigars and stuff, because I thought I was cool. I mean, what's better than Jack on the Rocks or Fireball on the rocks and a cigar? You think you're at the top of the fucking world. You only work 6 hours. You're with your buddy. You're in your home studio. You're like, fuck it. Let's get drunk and make some music. Okay. Aspiring rapper. Okay. Whatever. Now I'm doing podcasts. There's a reason I'm doing podcasts, but I can honestly say I was talking this with a buddy. I'll talk to you. There's stuff coming up that I'm going to separate into different. Nobody's actually going to spend and listen to 2 hours and 5 minutes. And that's what I'm at right now. So this is probably going to be 2 episodes. So here we go. Anyway, so I was going, yeah. So let me get back to the point of what I was talking about and finally understanding how your negative traits and toxicity, and it can develop into others. And that's the saddest thing, honestly. That is so sad because of the fact, whether you mean it or not, it affects people. And I correlate negativity, I correlate drug use, I correlate environment, I incorporate depression, all that into toxic traits. It's not there, It's just not good. Don't hate yourself, folks. Don't hate yourself. It is the saddest thing in the world to hate yourself. It's even harder when you see somebody when you're straight and you're sober and you have a right set of brains on you, a right head on your shoulders, and you see others that are going through similar, because they're never going to be the exact same. They're going to be very similar, but they're never going to be 100% the same situations. It hurts, honestly. I don't feel sorry. I'm very empathetic towards these individuals. Like, I feel for them because I went through that shit. And the best thing though, I was super blessed to never be homeless during this. I've never been homeless, thank God. I might when I was a kid, I probably spent a couple of days living in the car because, whatever, that's a whole different story. But what I'm saying is I've been very blessed that I've either been working or my family knew what they were doing financially when they left this planet. And even though I squandered it, most of it, I was living my life, right? You can't consistently, even though you're earning 5 to 7% in the stock market at an example sum and it earning interest, when you're taking 50, 60,000 out, you've got the taxes before it even gets to your bank, before it's the checks even cut, you got to sell it, right? So you've got to, of course, make the offering to sell it. Hopefully you set aside the exact, let's say one share of stock is 65.70 for one share, and you sell it, and like I wanted a check like within the next couple of days. You sell it right then, and you sell it for what it's worth at that time, right? But you do that on 30, 40 shares at a time, you're not recouping that interest back into, revenue, into profit. You're now taking all that money out, right? And it can't recoup fast enough. So your balance is going down, down, down. And that's even if the stock market is just, you got the right stocks, you've got the right, I was very blessed to have a very, very intelligent CFPs in my life I let them, just saying. I didn't have control of the money for the longest time. And I was grateful for that because I would have never, if I had that kind of money up front, I wouldn't have lived. I would have been dead long ago. So, but as I always say, you know what? You can always remake money. You can always make money. Anyhow, but when you spend that kind of money and you're in a different mind frame, you're not looking at the bottom line. I was like, basically what I did was email, hey, I need you to cash that. I need 5,000 worth or something. Then I would be like, okay, give me X amount per month. And then I'd be like, well, give me X amount per month. Then I need this special check, this additional check for 15,000 for a business or something. Cause I was so fucking delusional. And I thought I had this fucking endless supply of money that I really wasn't as in tune as I know about all of this stuff. Cause I've always loved finance. I've always loved business. I have an understanding of what it is and what it does and what it provides and the cost of everything. But when you don't see the balance, when you're actually withdrawing, you don't see how quick that shit comes. So would it have changed if I had that kind of sum in my accounts and I saw it actually dwindling? Would I stop? I don't know. So it is what it is. But what I'm saying is you're in a whole nother world. So buying drinks for people, giving people 100%, 150% tips sometimes on a regular basis, on an average day, spending sometimes $150, $200. And I do this for what? Maybe minimum 17 days out of the month, minimum. That goes by really quick with no job, in and out of school. not really giving two shits, and staying because you live an hour south, staying in hotels. Like we're talking 70, $80 a night for weeks on end. Cause it was literally right across the street from the damn bar. Cause this was past my DUI. I was trying to be a little bit cautious. At least I was. So it was a block. It was on the other side of the street, basically. Anyway, I'm going off on these tangents, but this is all the negativity and all of the shit that goes through your mind. All of the traits. What I want to say is, you got this. If you want it bad enough, you got this. Like, you can totally figure this out if you want it bad enough. You're going to lose people. You're going to lose people. Not for all the right reasons, but you're going to lose people. You may mend a lot of friendships and relationships. Some people just won't. They've had it enough and they're not looking back, which another thing is I can respect. But I've been talking for hours about all of this toxicity. But what about having the strength to start worrying about yourself? I mean, taking care of yourself, taking time out. The word self-care, there's something, it feels like selfishness, which it is in a way, because you're taking care of yourself. But you also need to worry about, and I've learned this being in the behavioral health addiction field, that you really need to worry about yourself, number one. Because you can't help other people, right? Without having a good frame of mind, a reference on what you are able to do, what you should do, and what you think you can do. And all there in between. So I'm just saying, feel that, do what you want, do your hobbies, exercise. Yeah, I'm the last one to say you should exercise, trust me. But do your hobbies. You know what? All the money I stopped spending on alcohol, I either put into investments or into the bank, or recently, honestly, because I know what my hobby and my true passion is doing this kind of stuff, right? Because I'm not in it for the money. Like, this is a negative return financially right now, but on an emotional, mental state, I'm making 2,000% a day on my return emotionally. And that's worth it. Like I said, we can all make money. I don't have, my favorite term is, I don't have fuck you money, where I could say flip off the world and just say fuck everybody. I have to work. And I've learned that. I've also learned that I don't need to work 90 hours, 80 hours. Okay, I'm lying. That I don't have to work a minimum of 65 hours a week in a high stress place. It's not, in the end game, it's not worth it. Yeah, you see, when 2 regular work days is just your Fed and your state taxes, just those 2, not the Social Security, not the Medicare, just the 2 state and federal tax. Working 2 days equals to what it was unbelievable so it's not worth it. But you're ingrained, and even with the addiction, I was addicted to work. I loved my job. I loved the people I worked with. I'm going to put in, sometimes I'm going back to that little sermon that I was speaking about. The sermon is basically, in the last hour, I was talking about the Hobson song. Long story short, it's a Hobson song, Ill Mind of Hobson 8. And at the end, he had this like sermon from a different person or whatever. It kind of sounds like Dr. Phil, but anyways, the gist of it is, some people aren't meant to be in your life forever. Now, I'm going to kind of put that into an example and try to intertwine it with, I'm going to try to intertwine it, sorry guys, with careers. I'm a full believer of, you know what, shit happens. It's never personal when it comes to business. Never personal. Just things happen. Whether it's your fault, whether it's an accident, whether it's an accident that happens more than once, you have to live with the decisions that have come up, And you can't be mad at anybody but yourself because you put yourself in that position, whether it was an accident or not. But you got to move on from it, right? So, and then once you move on and you look back, because at that point, you're making money, you're not working really. I mean, I'm sorry, you're not at home. You basically sleep, eat, and shower at the house because you're working 6-7 days a week. Well, 5, anywhere, you're working like between 60 and 75, 80 hours a week for a long duration of time. I'm talking years. You burn out. Even the closest allies to you and your coworkers, you start treating them because you're tired. You start treating them because when you're working with people for that amount of time per day, they're like your family, especially if you get along with them. Now, I've been blessed that I work with everybody that I've worked with for that. I've always had a great respect, and we've always gotten along, because I couldn't even imagine hating or disliking my coworkers and working a 12-hour shift with them, especially with 8 members. That would be, I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. So I was very blessed in that way. And then when you get close to people, you get more comfortable. And then sometimes you just don't shield everything and you become, anyway. So what I'm saying is I become that negative toxicity towards other people, not meaning to do it. But when I realize it, I'm like, oh shit. Okay. But I'm just saying, number one is you got to be happy. If you wake up every morning and you're healthy and you wake up, you'll be good. Days are going to be incredibly hard. That's what you got to live with. You got to live with it. Wake up. If you don't feel like getting out of bed, get out of bed. Do something. Walk outside, even for a couple of seconds if you want. Figure out what makes you happy. Find your happy place. If you have the means, spend. If your hobbies cost a little, spend it. If financially, it may not be the best return, but my thing is, even if you never make it back with that passion or that project, it's worth it for your well-being. The money aspect of it has nothing to do with when you're happy. Odds are it's not about the money. It's because you're in a good place in your mind and in a good situation. So with that being said, I'm kind of long in the tooth today, but I just felt that this needed to be said. And I wanted to thank everybody for coming out and listening to me. Make comments, do what you want, like it on YouTube and all my platforms, share with everybody that you know. I'm coming up to my 20th episode, so I'm doing pre-production and everything on that. Research for my 20th. I haven't decided what subject matter I'm going to do it on, but I'm really looking forward to this. So yeah, definitely share all of this. I think I'm going to start doing a lot more marketing. I kind of have an idea. I'm kind of getting used to this. I'm definitely a lot more able to talk on the microphone now by myself. Like my other No Mentor that I'm a co-host with, Sir Judo, plug. Yep, No Mentor Pod on YouTube, No Mentor Podcast on all other platforms. Just saying. It's a different type of podcast, but it's more fun. This is more serious, me just being straight up. I cussed a lot in this episode. It is what it is for right now. This is an addiction podcast. It's a mental health podcast. So I don't think 6-year-olds or 8-year-olds should be listening to this anyways. So for the people that have it on in the background, if there's anybody listening, which I'm just happy I'm doing this, I'm being productive in my own way. Just be happy. And once you feel that happiness and you came back from the dead almost, daily living it's difficult, but it's a minute thing in this whole thing we call the third planet from the sun, the rock, whatever, the blue marble. Dude, it's minuscule for the stuff. Your daily life is, especially mine. I'm blessed to have a job. I'm blessed to have good people, good relationships. I'm blessed to be able to basically do what I want to do within reason. I'm blessed to be able to continue my being sober and sharing with y'all, with people. I'm a very blessed person, and we all feel sorry for ourselves every now and then. but shit happens. I always go back to the shit happens thing with Forrest Gump when he's doing that marathon. Shit happens, right? Well, with that said, I wanted to thank everybody. This is definitely going to probably be a two-parter. Definitely not back-to-back, but it's definitely going to be a two-parter. Also, I'm excited for what we got coming next. So just tune in, like, share, have fun, make a comment, hate it, love it, give feedback, ask questions. I'd love to interact. I'm still new at this, so really just, every day is a learning experience. Just I'm always going to be long in the tooth. I'm always going to be telling it like it is, how I believe. This is instead of going and spending $300 an hour on a psychologist and talking out with my problems, I use this as my outlet. So technically, if you think about it, like let's say I've kind of almost made my money up in that regard with the clinical, with all of the stuff I've purchased, all the equipment. So yeah, I'm not in the red. I'm still in the red when it comes to time and that kind of stuff, but I'm loving this. Take care. I'm out.
Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe and leave a comment. You can hear me on all major platforms and socials under the Mind of Psychic podcast. See you next time.